Okay, hello guys, welcome to the Avocado 49 sprint release meeting. And let me go straight ahead to our Trello board to see what changed in the sprint. So bottom to top, Amador delivered a results DB plugin, a results plugin, and I think this is a cool feature. So Amador, could you please share with us some details?
Sure, this is a plugin to integrate Avocado with results DB. The idea here is to propagate the results to this database using the standards imposed by the results DB API. I'm going to share my screen so I can demonstrate what you get from this new plugin. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is an instance of results DB. This is the results DB front end. It was populated with basic development data. There is no Avocado data so far, and I have the API URL here for this results DB instance. I will use this URL here to inform my Avocado run pass test.py, fail test.py, cancel test.py, -- results DB API. This is the new option that's available with this plugin. And here you can inform the API URL. So you will see nothing different in the UI, but when you inspect your results DB instance, you can see that the test case results were populated here. You can inspect the group. The group here is equivalent to the Avocado job, and the result, the test case here, are equivalent to Avocado tests. So all these three tests are related to the same group. And if you go to the same group, you have the date and time that the job was executed, and also the partial UID. You can see the full UID clicking here, so you have the UID here. And it will be related to those three results. So you can inspect the results one by one and see what happened with these guys. There are some details here. So you have information coming from the Avocado test results. So the status in the results DB, the propagated status is passed, but the original status in Avocado was pass. And also the start time, end time, time lapse, and all the extra important information that we have from that test. Also, if you, for instance, have your Avocado results published somewhere, let's say you have your CY server and you have a directory containing all the Avocado results online, so you can provide also this URL here in your command, -- results db logs. And then what this extra option here will do is to create a link for those published results that you have somewhere. So if we inspect here again, you see that there are links here to the logs. And if you go to the group, there's a link here for the job as well. If you click here, you will be directed to the job results directory that is somewhere online, so you can inspect the details about that job. And the same happens with the details for the tests. You can, for example, see what happened with these guys. There is the documentation. The documentation is not released yet, so you have to see latest. optional plugins, results DB plugin. It will be tagged with the next version 49 when it's released, but right now you can see the documentation only in the latest year, but in a couple of days maximum you will have the default documentation page pointing to something that contains the results DB plugin information. Be aware that the statuses that are available in the results DB, they are different from the status that we have in Avocado, so we had to create a mapping. In results DB, we have only 4 valid statuses, passed, failed, info, and needs inspection. And we created this map from the Avocado statuses to the results DB statuses. So when you see something like info here, it means that's a good status for Avocado, but still needs inspection because it's not the paste, a test that pasted. It was something else, in this case, a canceled test. And yeah, that's it from this item.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I really like this plugin. No need to. And by the way, one important notice is that the results are actually published on each test execution. So even if there is a host crash, the results are published after single test execution. Next one is the documentation about terms of LTS Next by Kleber. We'll be talking about LTS Next later in this meeting, but you may have noticed an email on Avocado Devil. Then we have fixed RPM packaging path. Basically, we were using /user/share to store even dynamic content, which is not the correct path. So now we are using /var/lib, and we are using /user/share only for static content. What is a loader plugin? This was basically a question we have. If you ever used -- loaders options, you can see that there are several loaders you can use on the command line, and it was not easy to distinguish which is a loader plugin and which is the actual test type, as for example, file loader supports 2 test types. So now the output is a bit different, and it reflects this difference. Then we have a bug fix. Avocado list is broken when file loader is not enabled. This is a bug fix where on the set conditions there was a crash, and now it's properly treated, and you see a missing test. Next one is add script to update versions for all Avocado parts. This is just a convenient make target for us to always keep optional plugins and all related to Avocado plugins in sync in terms of version. Next, we have improved the generation of variant IDs. This is let me demonstrate this change because it's significant to users and it was asked by users. Basically, if you remember, if you execute Avocado multiplex -m, for example, using our example environment multiplex file, what you would get from like 48 version or previous versions is that you get variant 1 to variant 24, which is always like kept in this order, so you can always relate on that variant 2, for example, contains those leaves. But it's not really user friendly, and you have to remember what actually variant 2 means. So when you check out the release 49, you will see quite a different results, which is that the variant ID actually changes from the serial number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the list of the leaf names. So you can see that there is the Intel, there is a SCSI, Fedora, and debug, followed by 4 digits of hash. this is for basically this identifies this variant, and this identifies the content of the variant, because in the future this will be used for other things, like to discover whether this variant doesn't clash with any other just by coincidence, but whether it's a really different variant. So hopefully you can see that now instead of variant 24, I can see that it's probably meant prod ARM, so it's like something executed on ARM. So hopefully this will be more helpful. And feel free to send suggestions and ideas. For example, one first idea we have is to include a number of tests in this list, because before it was easy to know how many variants there are, but now it's not there. So we'll fix this.
So this variant ID will be also present in the UI when executing Avocado run something.
Yes, definitely. Let me just maybe. This is basically the variant ID is not a feature of the multiplex; it's the feature of the varianter. So when I run past test,
And this is actually, I mean, it's not what we were tracking, but this is actually a very old request. Even on the first presentation we did on KVM forum, Paulo from QMU was requesting some of this. So it's a good thing that we finally achieved a clean way of delivering that.
by the way, yeah, if you don't like this, you can always fork YAML Tools plugin, and the implementation is in course, so you can just inherit from it and change just this single thing. Never mind, we will still prefer if you just let us know about the preferred way of the ID, and we can include it in upstream. Okay, unless there are questions, like feel free to interrupt me anytime. Otherwise, I'll go through the items. Next, we have a bug fix for results plugins generating output when job does not have a test suite. Basically, if you executed something bad, like Avocado did not produce any results, but the machine readable results, which is not useful. So this is not happening anymore. Next, we have a check at post job plugins are called on various error conditions. Basically, we knew that post job is always executed, but we were not pretty sure. So I double checked that or triple checked that it's happening. And as part of this, I improved the self check. So we are pretty sure that always when the pre-job plug hooks were executed, the post-job hooks will be as well. Next, we have backport official spec files for Fedora. Basically, there is a downstream version of the spec file, and they are currently in sync as much as possible. Then we have a cleanup job status since it's not used anymore. As a matter of fact, we discovered that it is used, so we won't remove this API as it's obviously used, so we can't do it. Next change, if you are using Avocado Utils Linux modules, pay attention because the loaded module info return changed a bit. It currently reports more information, and instead of one list, there is a dictionary of some values. So you need to adjust your tests. Next one is issue VT Bootstrap warns about no logging handlers. Small improvement which result in colored output when you're running Avocado VT Bootstrap. Next one is asset Avocado project RH-Cloud.com failing frequently. Basically, we were facing issues when downloading, for example, some assets, Avocado assets, or even our RPM packages. This was due to too small package, so we increased the R package, and now you shouldn't face any problems downloading assets from our servers anymore. Feel free to disagree and send requests if you see those issues. We will definitely deliver them via different means. Next, we have make it possible to define enable and tags docstring at the same docstring. Basically, you may have heard of Avocado enable and tags directives, but we discovered that you can't actually specify both of them in one docstring because our code did not cope with that. So this was fixed. You can specify Avocado enable, disable, and tags on one line. Just be aware that if you specify multiple lines of Avocado tags, directives, you will get only the first one of these, not all of them. Next one is multiplexer implement internal filters. So again, something you may want to see some demonstration. Basically, what we added is we added the support for internal filters. We talked about it a bit in previous meeting, but let me show you this example YAML file. You can see there's a new directive filter only and filter out. What it means is that if Avocado uses this branch, it basically says this branch is incompatible with anything but /hardware/CPU/x8664. What it means is that Avocado, when this variant is produced, it checks all those siblings and it says, I only work with this. So I'll ignore PPC and ARM64. Similarly, filter out works similarly, but it's quite easier to distinguish how it works, is that it looks at all the nodes which are in the current variant, and if they contain /hardware/CPU/ARM, it just says this is invalid variant and skips it completely. It's like it's not produced because it's filtered before any execution. So basically, by filter only, I can say that Fedora 20 can only run on x86-64. And by filter out, I say that Fedora 21 can't run on ARM64. By the way, this is not true, but this is a demonstration of just for demonstration purposes, let's say it is. So when I multiply, you can see, oh no. One more important thing is that you can see that I'm using absolute paths here. So I have to actually inject it in slash in order to keep those paths. Otherwise, I would have to say /run, as you can see here, because the path is slightly different. And let me even show the summary. So you can see there is the multiplex tree, and there are the variants. And you can see that for Fedora 20, I get x86-64, and that's all. Just those two lines with Fedora 20. Then there's Fedora 21, and it comes on x86-64 and PowerPC. And then we have Fedora 23, and it works on all architectures specified in my mini example YAML file. So basically, just to recap it, you can define internal filters or like links between what can work together and what can't work together. Obviously, those filters are inherited, so I can even like put them, for example, in here, and all of the descendant nodes will inherit this filter. Anyway, any questions regarding this feature? If not, then like check it out. I think it's essentials for like advanced features, and feel free to suggest improvements or bugs because it may happen. And that's basically it. So we delivered those cards in this sprint. And let's go to work in progress cards. I mean, this will be part of the federal of the sprint number 49, release number 49. Now let's take a look at the things which we didn't really finished, but will be probably included soon after the release. Okay, any questions? No. Okay, so we have another install copying backup images twice. Kleber, what's the update on this?
Yeah, so we actually just moved this to work in progress. It's something we have to double check. I got this on my environment. You weren't able to reproduce, so we just want to make sure there is no bug there because it may impact performance of users running VT tests.
Okay, next one is create a resume option for the job replay feature after crash. Basically, Avocado can replay jobs. That's a cool feature. We have users using it. And somebody suggested that we should support something like -- resume. And we think it's a good thing. I worked on it. There is a work in progress version. There are just some minor issues to polish the documentation and some functional things. So this should be delivered really early after the release. Then we have introduced indentation in spec files. This is just internal thing to increase readability of the spec file. Then we have increased tests finished timeout. This was reported as a bug some time ago, and we discovered that it's not actually a bug, but on some environments when your tests are pretty intense, after producing the status, they don't finish on time, which by default is up to 2 seconds. So we are increasing this timeout, and due to nature of this, we want to double check it works properly and we are not breaking anything else. Then we have announced the LTS next schedule, and I would like to ask Kleber to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so basically we posted an email to the mailing list with a revised version of the LTS RFC. Hopefully we made things a little bit more clear, and that is also the result of our own experience with the first LTS. There's been some comments. Andre actually commented on it, and after we have a clear understanding of all the user requests and doubts and use cases, we'll publish an even updated version, like version 4 of that. And at the same time, we're going to define the schedule for the next LTS release. Right now, the RFC mentions that. We're just going to make that clear and official in the next few days. So the message out there is if users have a current problem with how they use, how they deploy LTS releases, if they have support issues, any kind of problem that is affecting how they can rely on Avocado, we want to know now, because that can help how we publish, deploy, support the LTS version. And also, if users have features in which they would like to depend for the future, for the next years, now it's a good time to influence the next sprint and the sprint after that, because that will ultimately represent what LTS is going to be. So now it's a good time to make yourself heard. That's it.
Yeah. So no questions. Great. It means that Avocado is awesome and you have all the features you need. So yeah, basically don't forget to even send emails later if you didn't join this meeting about the features you're missing in your LTS or in your Avocado, because quite soon we'll be releasing LTS next, and it will be again supported for about 1.5 years and or so. We will define that exactly. And don't be afraid, there will be still some overlap with the old LTS release, so they will be working together for about at least half a year. So next one is host values in Cartesian configs. Kleber, can you please elaborate a bit?
Yeah, so this is kind of a cross issue between Avocado and Avocado VT, and also something that touches some internal uses of Avocado VT. But the public problem, the upstream problem, is that in test providers like TPQMU, we have definitions, we have references to variants that mention host variants. These are actually created with some scripts. Like, nothing prevents any user out there from actually creating those configurations, but they're kind of out of sync with the upstream content. So what this card is about is actually creating the same configuration, which is about something that represents the host where the VT tests are going to be run. We decided to put that at VT bootstrap time so that it's streamlined with the same user experience. The update that we have right now is that we are building this on top of Avocado's distro detection. There's some need for naming adjustments because the TPQMU references names such as rel. The distro detection is a little bit different than that. Also, with regards to major and minor numbers and how a variant of many levels is composed. So it's been worked out. This will require interaction with TPQMU maintainers, but hopefully we will have users with the same experience from upstream source code. So it's a work in progress at this point.
Okay. Cool. Where were we? Oh, well. Next one is the rename Avocado multiplex to Avocado variants. This will affect you probably if you're using Avocado multiplexer. If you're probably using the Avocado multiplex command, which I even used to demonstrate some multiplexer features recently. As we renamed most of the things which are related to Avocado params and the variants to variants, we think it's appropriate to rename Avocado multiplex to Avocado variants. Obviously, there will be some overlap when both commands will be supported simultaneously, but we would like to deprecate this Avocado multiplex command as soon as possible, hopefully before the LTS next is released. But I mean, you can still let us know if you really depend on this and it would break your environments. We can keep them probably, but ideally before the LTS next is released, we will have to switch to Avocado variants. Obviously, all other arguments will stay the same, and even the functionality is the same. It's actually right now the work in progress version actually inherits from the multiplex, and so the implementation is really the same. Just beware that you will have to change your scripts or behaviors. Next is the job time should be work log time.
Yeah, this is like a note card. I have delayed actually delivering V2 for quite a while. On the last sprint, we actually integrated some. We posted some clarifications on that, and also we integrated some explicit checks on the plugin types. I think the next sprint is the latest we can actually go ahead and change the plugin types in preparation for the LTS. So this is gaining extra priority in my book. So expect to see a V2 on that.
Okay, cool. Next one is make requirements plugins, still in progress. Then we have multiple machine support for tests. Yeah, multi-stream tests. Yeah, RFC was posted. So do get involved, do respond, do request some changes. Basically, this is well, one of the biggest changes and improvements in Avocado since the beginning, probably. So try to get involved if you want. The main goal here is to be able to run one test on multiple streams, and by multiple streams we mean even different computers, virtual machines, or whatever streams could come to your mind. So basically create bigger and very simple tests. And job API, I think there's no update as well, right?
No updates.
No update on this one. And that's it. So this is the status of things in progress. And we already prioritize this new backlog of a sprint number 50. So before we go there, yeah, we already declared this sprint done. So unless you have big crashes, we will be releasing the Avocado 49, the physician, in a number of days. And next, there is what's upcoming in sprint backlog in sprint number 50, Docsville, is probably the created a guideline for tagging tests. Basically, you remember you can tag some tests in Avocado, like its network or CPU and so on. Then you can run all of the tests and say you're interested only in network CPU network tests. This works well. Everything is smooth, but we feel like it's important to define how to tag tests properly, so it's easier to start with this feature.
Users are free to do whatever they can,
Yes.
but it would be nice if they can use guidelines, so tests coming from different repos will have same meaning across them.
Yep. Exactly. Thank you. Next one is inherit test methods from parents. If you're using instrumented tests, you can use something like this. You can say that disable, and this is not actually Avocado test. And then you can say enable on this second one, which would say that the second one is actually a test. And if you execute it right now, it only sees the test B, because the inheritance is not taken into account in terms of test methods. The idea of this card is to also enable this inheritance of test methods. So this would produce test A and test B, or I mean test B with method test B and test A. Straightforward. Next one is rename skip timeout to cancel timeout. This is an internal change. People won't notice anything, but basically, if the test is skipped by timeout, it's actually cancelled, not skipped, because it's been running. Next one is add a way to run full suite per variance instead of all variants per each test. Again, if you're using multiplexer, Right now, if you run a test, for example, boot and migrate with some hardware YAML file which defines IDE and AHCI, then it runs boot test for all variants and then migrate test for all variants. And some people say that it may be useful to be able to specify a different approach, which is to run first variant on all tests and then second variant on all tests. This would be tweakable by, for example, minus mooks per suite or something like that. So it's actually a way to either organize tests by variants or by tests. Next.
And sometimes optimize tests like the speed of the job run as well.
Yep. If you keep the machine, for example, or so,
yeah,
it can help optimizing your performance in running the tests. Next one is Travis identify failure and re-enable tests TMP dir test. Basically, just check we disabled this test recently in Travis because some false positives, false negatives, and we need to identify whether it's already gone. Next one is allow dir listing on assets and repo servers. This is related to our asset server. You can download from it all the files, but you can't actually list the directory, which is not helpful when you, for example, are downloading on unsupported Fedora and you're trying to find out why the RPM is not there. So this is actually about being able to list the directory and see, okay, there is just Fedora 25 and not Fedora 20, for example. Next one is file bug report for libvirt Python package. Basically, libvirt Python package is a bit broken, which makes our life hard. So you want to upstream to fix this. Next, we have display loader failures in Avocado list verbose. This is a cleanup task. Basically, Avocado list verbose currently uses ugly methods to propagate some failures, like it writes directly to the output and so on. And it's not really clear. There are some plugins using different approaches, etc. So we would like to clean up the loaders and be able to report more information in a standard way. Next one is support docstring directives in test methods. Yeah, basically, right now you can say you can set tags for the whole class only, but you may say that this class supports all of the tests, and then you have method 1 and method 2, and method 1 is, for example, related to CPU, method 2 is related to memory. So this is not possible right now. So this is an enhancement to be able to also specify tags for methods. Next one is add a total count to Avocado multiplex. This is the thing I already talked about. Basically, with the change of the variants, it's hard to see how many tests there are unless you execute the test. Next one is loader at native Python unit test support. Basically, even right now, you can simply run Avocado run, and then in subshell execute this Avocado find unit test script, which reports path to the unit tests, which Avocado understands and can run them. But it's not really user friendly. So the purpose is to allow like minus loaders unit test or something like that, which would discover the unit test. I mean, the individual tests from the unit test files, not just the files. Next one is separate test name and variant ID in HTML results. Right now, if you're using HTML report, you know that there is the column with name, which includes name and a variant. This is fine, but some users ask to be able to sort the results by variant ID, which is not possible because it's part of the name. So basically, we want to just split the name to name and a variant column, different columns. Next one is Avocado Word migrate on a nested KVM environment fails. We need to investigate why it's failing in nested environment. It's probably not failing on normal environment, at least not that frequently. Some Avocado test methods and attributes are public. This is this ongoing long-term task to clean up Avocado test class. We already delivered several improvements, but there are still some ideas valid. And last one is the test.data directory should include the variant ID. This is the reason why we want to be able to identify why whether the variant is the same variant including the content or not. Because the idea is that the .data directory would still be there, but there will be also .data.variant ID or .variant ID.data directory, which would be the first place to look for files. So the idea is that you would use, for example, record. You would record your output for this given variant, and for the second variant, you would record it as well. But the results will be reported in those variant ID.data directories. And during the check, it would check the actual variant ID's data and not the generic ones. If they are available. Obviously, if they are not available, it would fall back to the default data. Yes, any questions? Nope. Okay, so this defines the sprint number 50. And again, be aware that LTS next is coming. We already prioritize the top, at least the top of the backlog, to include the most pressing matters. So some of those tasks, the items will probably be included in the LTS release. Again, if you don't see your things which you would like to see in LTS, feel free to contact us. We can still reorganize it a bit. But this is like the foundation of the next LTS. So, unless there are any, do you have any questions regarding Avocado or any issues, problems?
No, nothing here.
You may notice that we don't have any bugs in the current backlog, so I state this as it's a good sign. So thank you for joining, and see you next in 3 weeks.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Lukash. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye.
Thank you, guys. See you.